Vice President Kamala Harris kicking off her campaign less than 48 hours after Biden dropped out of the race. She has since raised about $100 million, according to her campaign. Today, she'll visit Wisconsin, one of the key swing states in this election. Right now, she's 2 points behind Donald Trump there. Nationwide, polling showing her falling behind in a head-to-head matchup against Trump, but that gap is shrinking. According to the most recent polling from Decision Desk HQ in the Hill, Trump is leading by just over 2 points. Let's bring in Drew McCoy, the president of Decision Desk HQ. Drew, good morning to you. Take me through some of these new numbers and the closeness of a Trump-Harris matchup.
Sure. Good morning. We're starting to see some polling come out after the extraordinary events of the last few weeks and certainly the last few days. Kamala Harris starts basically where Joe Biden started, about 2.5 points nationally. Her personal unfavorability and favorable ratings are very much the same as Joe Biden. So it's really a chance to reset for the future. But the starting point for the race is pretty close to where it was. There are even some of the swing states where in the hypothetical matchup prior to Vice President Harris becoming the actual candidate, she actually was further behind than Joe Biden in some places like Arizona or even Georgia. So it'll be interesting to see as the campaign take shape, and now that she's the candidate, where those numbers go. We'll get a sense of that over the next couple of weeks.
When I look at the numbers, Drew, I often see red and blue, and I'm thinking people are voting and will vote along party lines, but then I wonder how the independents factor into some of this polling. What do you know about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's very important, especially there's a group called double haters, candidate voters that didn't like either candidate. We saw this in 2016, where they broke for former President Trump over Hillary Clinton. In 2020, they broke for President Biden. So that's going to be a group that'll be interesting to watch. Now that they have a new candidate in the field to examine, see where the campaign goes, those voters are going to be really critical to the outcome in November.
Some are saying that depending on who Kamala Harris chooses as her vice presidential running mate, that could have a big impact on some of these swing states, North Carolina for one, Pennsylvania another. How is the polling? What is the polling showing about who's leading the pack on possible choices right now, some of these governors who are being discussed?
Yeah, it's a little early to see that given the events that's going on, but certainly vice presidential selection is a very important one for a candidate. It's one of the first things they're going to do that voters are really going to judge them on, a major decision that tells us a lot about them. But yes, you'll see a lot of the governors. So in North Carolina, which is a state they may want to try and bring back into play. You have Governor Roy Cooper, obviously Governor Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is likely to be one of the pivotal states again, as it was in both 2016 and 2020. So those are the kind of factors that candidates are balancing. And then we'll see the reaction of the voters at this point. Right now, I think they're really focused a lot on learning a lot more about Vice President Harris.
Yeah, and they're learning a lot about JD Vance right now, the senator from Ohio, now Trump's running mate. What's the polling on him reveal?
It's interesting about JD Vance. He when his race in Ohio, he won in large part because of the Trump endorsement. Ohio's not a state that necessarily was in play for the presidential race, but he actually ran behind the average candidate in Ohio, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It's a little muddled now, a lot of the polling, because so many events have come so quickly. You know, we had the assassination attempt, we had the convention, we had the selection of Senator Vance, and then obviously we have the news with President Biden stepping down from the ticket. So it's going to probably take a week or two to get some of this polling out there, give people a chance to settle down, look at what's going on. But it was pretty stable, but it's very hard in polling when there are these momentous events to attribute any sort of movement to one of them. And we've had several recently.
Yeah, I don't think anybody had the assassination attempt on their bingo card other than the shooter, tragically. What about the convention? Have you noticed a bump in some of the polling for Trump and Republicans because they were so united, it appeared?
So far, it's been steady. But that's, to be seen. It will definitely take a couple of days until we get more polling. I think one of the challenges right now in this polling environment are the events. So it's pollsters we're polling against a candidate that's no longer in the race. We did have some theoretical matchups with Vice President Harris and Donald Trump, but again, it's very different when it's theoretical versus this is the actual candidate. But right now, the race has been pretty steady, and I think we'll see over the next couple of days more polling coming out. That'll give us a sense of where things are going leading into the Democratic convention.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.